Alright guys, what's up? Got another how-to here. Got a tire that's going low on me. Instead of taking up shop time at work to throw a plug in it at work, I figured I would take it off, see what it is, and see if I can fix it at the house, and then maybe I can share my experience with you guys, and then you can do it yourself. So, if you got one of these, like, $10 plug patch kits. These are really, as a consumer, these are really our only decent option. Obviously at a dealership, they're going to take your tire off and then they're going to repair it from the inside out. And that's the best way to do it. But when you can't remove the tire off of the rim, you don't really have an option for that. So basically what I did is I went around this tire forever. I found an old plug in it somewhere. Thought the plug was leaking, it wasn't leaking. I pulled probably 3 nails out of this thing. None of them were leaking. I'd like to find this old plug so I could, there it is. So right there, that's a dealer, like a tire shop plug. That's what they look like when you repair them from the inside out. I figured that was leaking. It's not leaking. And what you do, you get you some Dawn dish soap and some water and a sprayer, and you just start hosing it down. Put some air pressure in it, start hosing it down, and you're looking for bubbles. Well, I didn't get any anywhere. Been looking at it for a while. So you've got some other possibilities. You could have a bead leak on the inside or the outside, which on aluminum wheels, especially for this is an 09, so it's pretty common to have a bead leak. The other thing you can check is if you have TPMS sensors. Check those because they're really known for leaking. And let me show you how to check those. So these are a little bit tricky. You can't spray them, because when you spray, all you're doing is spraying bubbles everywhere. So you actually have to take your soap solution and you gotta pour it really slow so you don't create any bubbles. So you see how nice and smooth that is? So basically you're just gonna watch that for any kind of bubbles. Alright, so now you can see those bubbles. I only let this thing sit for about 30 seconds. And if you slowly watch, you can see them just adding and adding more and more bubbles. Now a lot of times, the bubbles will be coming down from here, or they can come out of your actual Schrader, but that's really rare. This is typically where the failure is. And I'll show you how to take care of that. Alright, now keep in mind, you're going to have to let all the air out of the tire to do this, which means you've got to remove this valve core in here. And you're going to need a way to put air back in the tire when you're done. So don't do it on your car and not have an air compressor, because you're going to be screwed. So you can take your wheel and tire to a gas station, fill it up, or, you know, like me, I've got compressed air on hand. Now let me show you how to get that out of there. This is the actual tool that you can use to remove it, but nobody has one of these unless you're a mechanic. So if you don't, you can just use a standard, well, I can't get it to focus here, but it's just a small flat blade screwdriver. You're just going to put that in there on one side and give this thing a turn. That's all you have to do to get that out of there. Now keep your finger on it, because when it comes out, it's going to come out pretty forcefully. And it blew off somewhere inside the tire. Oh, there it is. So don't lose that. All right, next thing that you're going to want to do after you get your core out is you're going to remove this nut, but you're not going to remove it all the way. Just get you a deep well socket. Typically these are 11 millimeter. Like I said, do not remove that all the way. You're going to want to loosen it just enough that you can do it by hand. Like that. See how that's loose? But it's still holding on there. Do not take that all the way off and let that fall into your wheel. You're going to be screwed. Also, if this nut doesn't come off easily, that means that it's probably corroded to the stud, and you're going to end up snapping it and breaking it. Same thing that goes with the valve core. If it does not come out easily, basically you need to stop and bring it to a shop because it's going to tear it all up in there. So basically, now what I like to do, put a screw down in here with a washer on it. It's kind of a fail safe, so that thing can drop in there and get out of my way, but it's not going to fall in there. Where did I put it? There it is. Screw, washer. Take your little screwdriver. Now you're not going to want to go ham on that. If you tighten that screw too much, you're going to be screwing up your threads, and then your core is not going to seal. So now you can unscrew this all the way. And this washer is going to stop the, prevent the screw from falling in there. Eventually. So, let's see if I can get a better angle on this here. So you've got an aluminum washer in there. See if I can show you that. The aluminum washer kind of gets corroded up and gets stuck. But this white dusty crap is essentially, it's rust, but it's for aluminum. It's like aluminum oxidation corrosion. Alright. So I've gotten that broken free. Now basically your sensors drop down in the hole. So I'll show you what you're going to do next. So this is actually a good time if you have compressed air. You can kind of pick that up. Just kind of spray that hole out and clean that up. Because on the other side of the sensor is a rubber seal, and it seals on the back side. But what happens is all that corrosion gets between the rubber and the rim, and it can't seal any longer. So now what you're going to do, get yourself a piece of wire and bare the end of it and kind of bend it over. Pick all this stuff up out of your way. A little easier said than done. Get your wire in there. And you're going to start working around that edge. Twisting it around. What you're doing is you're cleaning the rim surface up. Probably couldn't see all that corrosion that just came out of there. This aluminum crush washer is kind of a pain in the butt. Alright, so now that you've got that done, so now what I'm going to do, and this is optional, if you got a 90-degree pick, you can also get in there and kind of work that around and get that corrosion off. But take you some RTV. This is optional, like I said, and it's kind of a pain to do. Basically, you're just going to get that on your pick. And you're going to get in here and try to spread that on the underneath. Trying to spread this between the aluminum rim and the rubber seal. And this will help actually make it seal. So now you can pull your sensor back up, run your nut back down, screw the nut back on. Get your nut tightened down a little bit by hand. Take your screw out. As you can see, that was just barely holding on there. Go ahead and tighten this down by hand with a ratchet. And the idea here is you don't want to over tighten it, but you want to get it a little tighter than it was. If you go too much, you'll snap that off. All right, and then get your valve core, throw it back in there. Get your little screwdriver, start working that bad boy back down. All right, go ahead and put air back in the tire. There's no need to let that stuff dry. All right, put your tire back up. Keep in mind where it's at. In this case, I want 34 pounds. Now what you're going to do, same thing you did before. You're going to pour this soap on here, nice and easy. You're going to pour it just for a little while there because you want it to get down, flush out the air that's in there, so that if you get a bubble or two, it's not throwing you off, because obviously there's air down in these threads. So just pour it on there until all the air works its way up. And now any actual bubbles that will appear will be an actual leak and not just a little bit of air that was trapped in the threads. All right, I'll let this tire sit about 20 minutes. Come back. You can see that there's no big smurf on top of here like it was doing before. So that was a successful fix. Any of that RTV you got on there, you can just wipe off. It's not going to hurt anything. Put your valve cap back on, put the wheel back on, you're done. Like, comment, subscribe.